and boring start to the recording.
Do I have
But
to stay on this one? Sorry.
did it?
I
I don't.
handed in my test already. And
Yeah,
then
it's up to you. I don't care either way. And if you can always check the solutions, they'll be released after class. So if you have any questions on the review, that way you can see if you missed any. I'm not even sure. Did you do the review before you do your test? Did your test or no? Yeah. Okay. So the only thing would be nice is if you had a question right that maybe not everyone else got right, then you could do it, but it's up to you. I'm not gonna
I mean, I can stay on.
I'm not gonna take away like 50,000 points from you. Okay. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna read through the answers kind of easiestly, and then what I want you guys to do is circle on yours ones that you would like us to go over. You'll see on mine that if there was another approach to take, I tried to show you both methods, and then eventually I just showed you one or the other, but know that you can probably use more than one method. Okay, so for number one, you should have gotten 60 feet. For number two, you should get 0.06 milliliters. For number three, you should get $1,487. For number four, you should have gotten $300. Number five should have been $630,000. Number six should be 46.8%.
I'm sorry. What are we going over right now? Major quiz 1?
No. This is the review for practice for the exam.
I'm on a Zoom.
I was looking at Major quiz 1. I was like, wow, I've gotten every single one wrong.
No. I will never go over a quiz unless I have all of them. So that will never happen. I won't say never, but more than likely you'll get those answers privately if you like email me and say, "Hey, can you go over this with me? I've already turned it in." Other than that, no. And just so you know, as I'm reading these, if you were like close, and it's just like a decimal off, or like you can see where you rounded or whatever, then don't worry about that. Just worry about if you're ridiculously off. Number 7 is 70%. Number 8 is 663.39, and that would be dollars. Number 9 is $5,400. Number 10 should be X equals 11. Number 11 is M equals 3.8. And when I sent these out to you, I believe they had answers. They just didn't have solutions. Number 12 should be X equals 3. Number 13 should be X equals 25. Number 14 should be 54. And if you really want to be specific, you would say 54 $10 bills, but I'll take just 54. Number 15 should be T equals 8. Number 16 should be H equals 6. Number 17 should be X equals 0.8. Number 18 should be $576. Number 19 is 7 over 30. And I guess if you really wanted to be accurate, you could throw the dollar signs in. That's probably the only problem that I did not use their labeling. Number 20 is P equals 31.6. 21, you had to basically use the information they gave you in the check stub, and you would get a balance forward of $4,909.96. Okay. 22 wanted you to find the final balance from the check register. So you have a final balance of $4,576. $539.34. I don't know why I don't have a line for that one, so sorry if you were used to finding the lines. Number 23, dealing with Bob's Bicycle Shop. They wanted you to find the amount. Hold on. Find the credit card sales less refunds, and then also find the amount of the charge at the statement date. So the first answer there should be $841.65. And then the second, which is the charge, would be $25.25. Okay, 24, you had to reconcile. So you should have gotten $1,680.99 in the two different locations. So you would get it from the checkbook side and from the bank statement side. And then the last one is number 25. It's another reconcile question. So obviously you guys should know that the reconciling is pretty important. Again, from the checkbook side and the statement side, you should end up with the same, and it should be $5,443.53. Again, I do apologize for anyone watching the video because I'm sure that is very boring to have to listen to, but I just don't know if we'll have enough time to do all 25 questions. So if we have to, I mean, we will. Don't feel like you don't need to ask me a question. Just know that we may run out of time. Hopefully we won't. Okay, so what's the first question someone would like to go over? And don't forget, I'll put solutions up on Canvas as well as I can also email them to you if you need them.
Sorry, can you go over number 2, please?
Yeah. So number 2, we were looking at a chemical solution that contains 6% potassium. How much potassium is in 1 milliliter of solution? So here I chose to use what I'm calling method 2, but the first thing I did is I found 6% as a decimal. And that's just something you guys should get in the habit of doing. If you see a percentage, you should almost always just off to the side write the decimal version of it. And then all you have to do is throw in the decimal version times the milliliters that they give you, which here they just happen to give you 1. So then you end up with 0.6 milliliters. Now, obviously, if they would have given us a different number for the milliliters here, then you would plug that in and you wouldn't end up with just 0.06. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. What next? I'm sure you all have more questions than just number 2.
Could you go over number 4?
Number 4? Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Number 4 is just asking, so it actually kind of tells us here what we're looking at. We're looking for a solve for the base in the problem. So that's nice because it actually tells you what exactly they're looking for. So it's going to kind of make us remember that base equals, what is it, P over R, so part over rate. So then we're going to take the part, which they told us is 18. And we always know that the part is the number that is not a percent. Okay. The other thing we have to do is up here, we already did the decimal version of 6%, so we're just going to reuse it. Okay. So then you would end up getting 18 over 0.06. And if you do that in the calculator, you should end up with $300. Now you can include the cents or not. I did, but it's up to you. Obviously, if you have cents to add, you should do so. But okay. Gonna make sure that I have the chat open as well. So in case you want to ask for a question in the chat, you can. But someone else had started asking a question right before, like at the same time as Anna. So what was your question?
I wanted you to look at number 8, but I guess that would be sort of the same process as number 4 or similar.
Correct. So same exact process. You're going to take 743 and divide it by the decimal version of 12%. So that would actually be 743 divided by 0.12. If you need to, put the 0 in the front so you know it's a decimal. And then you end up getting 663.39. Okay. I'm going to throw out a very strict caution for you. Some of you, when you get your quiz, individualized quiz feedback, you will see that I put down no label or no $sign or what have you. I basically gave you all a freebie for the first set of quizzes because I kind of took them as a huge chunking together kind of. This is an applied course. So that means you're going to be dealing with labels a lot. You don't want to lose points because you didn't do your label. Make sure you have your labels on there. All right. Anyone need 1, 3, 5, 6, or 7 done? No? Cool. All right. So let's go ahead and I'll clear that. I'm not saving it only because I have all of them done already for you guys. Otherwise, I would save the screenshots. Okay. 9, 10, or 11? No? I'll go on 9, 10, or 11.
Can we
Maybe
go
11.
Okay. I heard 11. Anna, what one did you want?
9.
9? Okay, I'll do 9 and then I'll do 11. Okay, so for number 9, we're looking at receiving a discount of 13.5% on a bulk order of typewriter ribbons. And then that it says John's office supply pays $4,671. What was the price of the order before the discount? So what we want to do here is we want to figure out what we kind of have. So right away, you know that you have a rate. And that's because it kind of gives it away because it's a percentage. So before you do anything else, you should write that percentage as a decimal. Okay. So 0.135. The next thing you kind of have to figure out is you need to know if you have a part or a base. And the other thing here that you should know is that this rate, this initial rate, that is your discount. And discount is a little bit different than your rate. So when you have a discount, to figure out your rate, what do you guys think you have to do?
Okay.
Do you feel like a discount is where you pay the whole amount, or is it maybe taken away from something?
It takes away from something.
Mm-hmm. When we're talking about percentages, what do you kind of feel might be that typical full percent? What do you think we want to take it away from? What
14%?
percentage? What percentage do you all want to get in a class?
100.
100%.
100. Okay. So if you leave it as a percentage, you would subtract it from 100. Since we changed it to its decimal part, you're going to subtract it from 1. Okay. So then you end up actually getting your rate as 0.865. Okay. If it would have been a percent, it would have been 86.5, and you still would have ended up making it a decimal. So that is your rate. So you needed to do a little bit of work to get your rate. The next section here is saying that we have John's office supply pays $4,671. If he's paying that, or if John's paying that, or whoever's paying that, do you feel that that's your base or that that's your part?
Would that be the part?
Very good. That is the part. Okay. The base is always going to be what you would have paid if you didn't have any kind of thing working for you. So to figure out what your base is, then we're going to take the part and divide it by the rate, which means we're taking 4,671 and we're dividing it by 0.865. And you're going to end up with 5,400. Okay. You'll see once you get some of your individualized feedback back that you guys have to get into seeing this process, this base part rate process. I don't know if we'll see it in the future, but I know it'll be on your final. And I know it's going to be on this exam. So definitely get into that habit. And then someone had asked for 11. Basically for 11, you pretty much just want to combine your left-hand side. So 7.1 plus 2 will give you 9.1 minus 1 will give you 8.1 m equals 30.78. Then we have to divide by 8.1 on both sides. So then m is equal to 3.8. Again, don't feel bad about using your calculators. I use mine. Kind of feel like that's what it's there for. Now, granted, most professors would disagree, but I'm obviously not going to make you guys sit there and try to do some of this in your head.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have a good understanding of 1 through 11 now? Okay, good. Bless you. Okay. 12 or 13. Does anyone need that? It's the same basic premise as 11, except now you're dealing with fractions. So you either have to convert from fractions to decimals or decimals to fractions, whatever you would feel more comfortable in. I have no preference. You're going to hopefully end up with the same answer no matter what. Remember though, the only thing is if you're working with fractions, you'll have to have a least common denominator to add or subtract. Okay. Those you can probably take a look at on my solutions. Anybody need 14? Getting the number of tens in the cashier box.
Can we
Oh.
look at 14?
Yeah, we can take a look at 14. I'm going to go down so we can have that white space to work in. Just to everyone know that it's for number 14. Okay. So for 14, the first thing we're going to say, I'll go ahead and read it to you guys. It says a cashier has a total of 120 bills made up of 5s and 10s. So we have 120 bills, and we know that they are made up of 5s and 10s. Okay. The total value of the money is $870. Okay. And then it says how many $10 bills does the cashier have? Okay. So the first thing you want to do is your let statements. So I'm going to let X equal my number of $5 bills. And I'm going to let Y equal my number of $10 bills. Okay. Now you can go through and write those out a little bit more, but that's good enough for me if you understand what you're doing. So we're going to set up a system of equations. And this is something that you should be able to recall, but it's okay if you just need to memorize it for this problem. I'm fine with that. So this is the way we're looking at it. We have 5s and 10s, and we know that there's 120 of them. So we have X plus Y, and they equal 120. But we can actually get another equation out of this information. We know that $5 makes up the X, so 5X. And we know that $10 makes up the Y, so 10Y. And we know that together that would give us a total of 870. Okay. First thing you want to do is solve for one of the variables. Since I wanted to know how many $10 bills, I solved here for the X so that I would get everything in Y. So then that means I will have my number of $10 bills at the end. Does anyone know what the process you would have to do if you perhaps solved for the X's or for the $5 bills instead of solving for the $10 bills right away? What do you think your approach would be if you found the opposite number of bills? Maybe take a look at this equation when you think about that.
You would have to find Y.
Right, so you would find X, which means you would just have to take 120 minus what your X is, and that would give you the Y. Very good. Okay, so... Oops. Why didn't anybody catch me? Guys, just let me keep going. It's okay to catch me if I make a mistake. I promise I am not like anyone else who would just sit there and tell you, no, you're wrong. I never make mistakes. That is so not true. Okay. 270. So divide by 5, divide by 5. So Y equals 54 tens. Okay. All right. If you figured that out a different way, feel free to share that. Okay. Right. Everybody good on this one? Cool. All right, let me go ahead and clear that. We'll go back up. All right. Anybody need to discuss 15 or 16?
Can I see 16?
16? Sure. Okay. All right, so 16 is just a little bit gross because it has the 1/2 in it. But basically we're gonna plug in what they gave us. So they give us a 93 for A. They give us a 15 for little b and a 16 for the big B. Now, and then they want us to find H. So how do you think you can undo this fraction part? What makes this go away?
Divide it or multiply it?
Yeah, we're gonna multiply it. So what we're gonna do is instead of having it be 1/2 and you looking at it as 1/2, I'm gonna bring it on the other side and I'm actually gonna multiply it to the 93 because multiplying by 2 is a lot nicer than dividing by 2 if I have an odd number, which I do because 15 and 16 actually give us 31. So then we're gonna divide 93 times 2 by 31. So then that ends up being what? 93 times 2. Is that, see, everybody uses calculators. 186 divided by 31 gives us 6. Okay. Don't be afraid when you see some of these problems on the test or even like this review. Just kind of go with what you think and then don't be afraid to manipulate. Just because we don't like 31 divided by 2 and that's a decimal doesn't mean we can't rework it so that it's a little bit nicer for us. All right.
The 2 in that equation.
What about that equation?
The 2 in the parentheses. How did you use that?
93 times 2.
Oh,
I
okay,
chose to
divided
use it as a parentheses so that you guys would know I was multiplying.
Oh,
I don't tend to use X's because we have variables in this class, so I don't want you to ever get confused and think that a multiplication sign is an X. Okay. And that ended up letting this 1/2 get canceled because really what we did is we multiplied 2 on both sides and 2 over 2 would cancel out to give us 1. Okay. What other question would you guys like? Any other ones on this page? 17, 18, 19, or 20? '17, you just have to distribute and then collect your common terms.
maybe 20.
20? Okay. All right, so with 20, the way we're working that is you're taking the 110.284 and you want to multiply it by 19. And then that's going to be equal to 66.31 times P. And then you'll multiply the 66.31 on both sides. So the top gives you 2,095.396. Now I want you guys to know that whenever I do a problem, I do not round until the absolute very end. So don't go rounding intermittently or you could end up with the wrong answer. So then you end up with P equal to 31.6. Okay. Solve a proportion, you're always going to do that cross multiplication and then solve for the variable. All right. Okay, so I'm not going to write them out, but we are going to talk about 21. The balance forward, I'm going to do like a color coding if that's okay. So here's our balance forward spot. Right here, it literally tells you the number, right? Balance forward. Okay. Amount deposited, that's literally your deposits. Okay. So what you do there is we know that a deposit, is that going to be an addition or a subtraction if it's a deposit? What's that?
Addition.
Very good. Okay. Okay. So you take your balance forward, you add your deposits, you will get that new statement there. Okay. Which I believe it was 4,970.37. Okay. Then you have to come in and it asks for amount for the check. It tells you the amount for the check. Here's the date. Here's who it's to. So that's the amount. Then the next balance forward, that check amount, is that going to be an addition or a subtraction?
Addition.
So are we Ace Cleaners and someone's paying that to us, or are we paying Ace Cleaners?
Oh, subtraction, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you're going to take your 4970.37, you're going to subtract your 60.41, and you're going to end up with your answer of 4909.96. Okay. All right. Okay. Are we good with 21? All right, everybody's got it. If you don't, you can either check on my solutions, or I'll also post the review, the YouTube of the review. Okay, so this is what we're considering essays in math class this semester. So we want to find the final balance in the check register. Did everybody get this, or would some folks like to go over it for 22? I can do it. I just don't want to bore you guys if you all have it.
Yeah, can you go over it, please?
Sure. Okay. So this is what we're looking at here. We need to figure out, first off, our starting point. And that tells you right here with this balance forward, that's where you're starting. Okay. So whatever you're going to do, you're going to do it to this number first. I like to do my additions first, So I'm going to look at this right here. And the reason why I'm looking at it is because you see here that it says deposits. Here it says deposits. So that means we're adding it. So when you add those two things together, 311.15, you're going to end up with a new balance of 5151.07. The next thing you have to do is you have to figure out if you need to subtract anything. Well, right here we have the word check, which means checks are getting written to people. So we're going to add those two together, or you can subtract them separately. I don't have a lot of room here, so I'm going to add them. So 455.64 plus 156.09. That gives me a subtraction of -611.73. And when I do that, I get my answer, which is our final balance. And that answer is $4,539.34. Okay. Now, you can choose to write it all on the paper. You can choose to write it on notebook paper. However you want to do it is fine with me. I really liked that some of you turned in answer keys or answer sheets for me. Those are really nice because then I can just go straight down through and I can grade your thing. And if I need to look at your work, then I look at your work. But you definitely want to send me your work. I'm assuming that most of you are not just looking at this and knowing the answer. So make sure that you send me your work. Please, you don't have to type it out. Just send me a picture. But definitely send me, you definitely want to send me more as opposed to less. Okay, if I don't have enough to grade you on, then I really can't do anything for you than just give you your grade, and it is what it is there. Okay. For 23, I'm just going to assume that you guys would all like to all see the kind of short answer, essay, whatever you call them, options. So to find the credit card sales less refunds, you literally just have to, and I'm not going to do it for you, but the sales in this case are the pluses, and the refunds are the quote unquote minuses. So it's what you subtract away. Because remember, guys, we talked before that we have to put ourselves in the mindset of the business. So obviously sales for a business are good, refunds for a business are sad because it's money going away. So when you add all these up and you take that difference ends up being, for this, it ends up being 841.65. Oh no. Oh, sorry guys. Apologies.
Bless you.
Thank you. And just so that you guys can verify, this would be 939.24 that you've added up. And then the subtracting part adds up to be $97.59. Okay, and that is just for the credit card sales less refunds. Then you have to multiply it to find the fee. So the fee is, you have to make that equal to your rate. So you have to change it to a decimal. And then you multiply the 0.03 by this credit card sales less. So 841.65 times 0.03. And we're going to end up with, that's a terrible money sign. We are going to end up with $25. And then if you round, you get 25 cents. If you give me the whole thing, like the 25.2495, I'm not going to ding you for not rounding. I might just ask you if you're a gas station, because I feel like they're the only ones that don't give us regular cents. Okay. By the way, I don't know who it is, and I'm not going to throw them out under the bus or anything, but somebody definitely made me laugh with a comment they made on their test or quiz last time. So I'm just throwing it out there. It might be just me, but if you can make me laugh on your test, I'm probably going to reward you for that. So
I made a comment. Was it me? I want to know.
I made a comment also.
I may not have found the second comment. I can only remember one, but somebody wrote this should be criminal or something like that on
This should be illegal.
yeah, on the question about how many hours somebody studied, and I literally like laughed for 30 seconds straight. I thought it was funny, and then I tried to see like what you wrote underneath that, but I couldn't figure it out. So that just cracked me up. So congratulations on that one. I don't know if I saw the other one. If I did, yesterday was ridiculous. I did so much. Maybe I'll have to take a look back at things. Okay, so are we good with 22 and 23? Yeah, cool. All right. So yeah, never be I'm sure there's some people out there who would like be offended or whatever, but honestly, I've done such crazy things like in my own physics classes when I was in high school. I have no problems if you want to try and make me laugh. I don't care. Okay. This reconciliation stuff, do we need to see one of them more one than the other, or can I just go over one of them? Do you just kind of need like what steps do I add versus what steps do I subtract? Give me some direction on this so that I don't have to try and squeeze a whole bunch of writing in here for you.
Just the steps, I guess, would be good.
The steps. Okay. So I will show you kind of how I do mine, and you will also be able to see this on when you check out the solutions if you decide to. I automatically come in here and I draw a line. I draw a dotted line to separate the two here. And the reason for that is the top part tells you it's from the bank statement. Okay, right here it says bank statement. Down here it says checkbook balance. So if you know to kind of make that distinguish well, that's not the right phrasing of that word, whatever. If you can determine that, it kind of makes it a little bit easier for you. And I always think that the checkbook side is a lot easier. So I do the checkbook side first. And this is literally how I write mine out. Okay. And then what I look at is, okay, so checkbook balance, that's what I write down first. So I say, okay, I have a balance of $1,680.41. And then I have to figure out what I'm adding versus what I'm subtracting. So a bank charge, if you see the word charge, that is a subtraction. So I subtract $6.45. Okay. And then you end up getting here 16,000, yeah, 16,000, or I guess 1,673, apologies, and 96 cents. And then the next thing you need to figure out is what you're adding. So you're adding this interest credit. So you're going to add $7.03. And so there you end up getting, keep really messing up those dollar signs. So here you're getting what is your goal, which is 1,680 and 99 cents. Okay, so let me tell you why I do the checkbook first. Obviously, you can see it's kind of easier. I'm pretty sure on the other one, it's the same thing. Yeah, it's what you subtract and what you add. That's it. So now you kind of have a goal. You kind of have an internal check, because now when you do the bank side, it's going to be a little bit more numbers. And now you have something that you can look at and go, okay, that's where I'm trying to get to. And if I mess it up, then at least I know if I'm like what I'm doing wrong. You might not know exactly what you're doing wrong, but you know for sure that that's the reconciliation. So even if you get to this point, for me, I'm going to give you at least half the credit. So if you get to this point and you realize this is what your amount should be, so you write that on the line, and then you explain, I can't get my bank side to match up, but I know they're supposed to, then I'm going to give you most of your points. Okay. What you can't do is just leave the whole thing blank because you get frustrated. Don't give me blanks. They're not fun to grade. I don't like giving out zeros on anything. Okay. So from the bank statement side, you want to start with your balance, just like we did down here. But now you have to deal with checks and deposits not yet recorded. So what I do is I add up both of these. Total deposits not yet added is what you add. So that means we take away the outstanding checks. So for this one, I'm pretty sure, and this is the hard part, I would highly recommend you guys getting highlighters or something, or maybe using Excel. So this is the part that you're going to subtract. And I always get that total first. So that total is $589.65. But I like to add first. So this is what we're adding. And that ends up being $544.94. Okay, so when we add the $544.94, we end up getting $2,270.64. And at first I got there and I thought, there's no way I did this right. But you would be surprised. So now we're going to subtract the $589.65. And you end up with what you wanted, which is $16.80.99. Okay. So because those match, then you say And this is literally what I write down. Okay. I mean, if you take your time with it, it really ends up not being too difficult. My problem was I kind of quit taking my time and just tried to do things really fast, and it ended up making me very mad. Okay. Questions on how you do the reconciliation or the reconciling or whatever you want to call it. Okay. Do you guys think you need me to do 25, or do you feel like you can use 24 as an example and then you can practice with 25? Okay, I think that's a better idea for you. All right, everyone good with 24? You guys all wrote it down? Okay. If you need it, like I said, you'll have it for your, I'll send you out the